Good morning, guys. It's JT Skinner. If you didn't know, I mean, come on, it's me. We're heading up to the garage. We're gonna go and do some things. So it just so happens that the Brawler is back, and it's not back for anything that went wrong, but just some maintenance stuff and getting it ready for wintertime. I'm gonna put some plow brackets on here. As you can see, it's miserable out here. Everything is soaked and ugh, nasty beginning to 2020. Been focused a lot on trail riding lately and dirt bikes and stuff, and gonna get back and get my hands dirty on this thing again. We got to change a few things. We're gonna do a new set of tires on it, new set of springs, different rates. And my customer kind of messed up an axle boot, and so we're going to take care of that too while we're at it. So we're going to do this. Now, the real reason for this video is actually that I've been having a lot of questions lately about the dual battery system that I installed in it. So I figured I'd do an informative video and try and get you guys on the right direction here, so to speak, to get your setup properly so it works. So in next couple seconds, hopefully we'll be rocking and rolling and showing you what's what. We're going to shoot this before we get our hands dirty with the other projects, and then hopefully my wife will show me how to edit it, because I have no idea how, and let's go from there. All right, so from Skinner Speed and Performance to you, I'm going to count it down. 1, 2, 3. Actually, no, let's do it backwards. Hold on. 3, 2, 1. And boom, we're back. After I counted that down, I felt kind of stupid. I'm not gonna lie, but I saw it on another unnamed YouTube channel, so I just figured I would try it. So we're gonna start with the battery. All right, first shot here is the battery. Now, the lighting is not incredible right now. I'm not shadowing it, which is a plus. So what we're gonna do is just talk about this mount. Now, the mount I fabricated for this machine, there are other mounts available. Actually, some of the nicest mounts that are available are from our friends over at Brute Performance. This is an Odyssey PC925, I believe it is. Really nice setup. Now, we got the deluxe dual battery kit with isolator. It comes with a bunch of wiring. It also happens to come with a really nice dual voltmeter, and the isolator is really good too. The isolator is a true isolator. It's built for UTVs. Unfortunately, in this application, you can kind of only use like one of the wires that comes with it, the cables, and that the one I use is the one that goes from the primary battery positive to the isolator, and it's long enough. It does the job. The rest of the stuff, however, because in a Teryx you're mounting them under the seat, it definitely not long enough. Also not going to transmit enough current. So we go ahead and we use this audio grade OFC, that's oxygen free copper, if you don't know, 4-gauge cable. Now, this 4-gauge cable transmits easily 100 amps, so that's enough to run your winch, your light bars, your stereo, all that fun stuff. And in a long enough run, this is only about 5 feet, actually. You know, cars and trucks, amplifiers, you're using in excess of 10 to 15 feet, so 5 feet is not hurting anything here. So with this, you are able to transfer enough current to power the whole machine, all your accessories, everything you have here. So we changed things up a little bit. I wanted to put a disconnect on this battery, and if you can see that right here, that is a Marine 100 amp circuit breaker with a push button release. So now when we want to put the battery back in circuit, we flip this little bar over like so, and then when we want to release it, actually you can actually see now, if you think before it said 0 on the bottom, that's the auxiliary battery. So now we're back up again, 12.7 on there, and then you are just popping that button, and as soon as that button's popped, you know, you're released. You're back to zero again on your gauge, unless there's residual draw or something along those lines, and the gauge might read a little bit off for a little bit before it bleeds down. Usually not, though, unless there's a problem. So how we have this set up, actually, I'm going to grab another light because I can't see anything under there. So we're going to grab a real light. I know, this place is a disaster. Please, if you're looking at my shop going, oh, this guy's a pig, I ain't gonna lie. I do a lot of small projects here and there. My kids end up in here a lot. They like to play and work on their own stuff, and I'm all for that. And sometimes I don't really have enough hours in the day to clean this garage out. So once in a while, I take a couple hours. I clean everything up. Right now, it hasn't been done in about 2 weeks. So here we go. There we go. We got some light now. So what you can see is we run a jacketed 4 gauge from the battery positive to the input side of the breaker, and then directly from the breaker we run our 4 gauge up to a distribution block. Now back here we run a 4 gauge jacketed ground directly to the frame rail. That is actually a tapped hole into the frame rail. Everything's clean, everything's secure, and it works really, really well, especially if you upgrade the grounds in your machine. Some people do it, some people don't. I always recommend it, especially the grounds that go from your frame to your engine. That can really play hell on a machine, especially with ignition, with fuel injection. Grounds are everything. So if you're got it torn apart, upgrade them. Just do it. It's not hard to do. Pull the original ground, upgrade it to a much larger diameter. You can look around. There's other places on the block that you can ground it to make it even operate more efficiently. So just something to think about later on down the line. I fabricated the hold down, obviously, because the hold down houses the breaker. And this has been used for a little while, obviously, because like I said, the Brawler's been out and about and doing its thing. So far so good. Everything's working flawlessly. And she's a little badass. So now we're going to move on, and I'm going to move under the hood and show you the next portion of our circuit. All right. And if I have to count it down again, yeah, I'm not counting it down. Next. All right, this brings us to our next portion of this build here. Now, this is one that is not required, but my gosh, does it make life easier. These are bus bars. Now, if you're not familiar with bus bars, this is basically a solid terminal lug with multiple posts on it so you can bolt things to it. So what we did here is we used one positive, one negative, separate all the positives and grounds. This is obviously our positive because it's bright freaking red, okay? Now directly next to that is our true isolator. Thank you, Justin, Steffi, Trail Bright LED. They get us all the good stuff here. So the 8 gauge wires that you see on here, the one jumper that is closest to the camera is actually running directly to the bus bar. Now that is feeding, when the isolator is closed, that is feeding voltage into the bus bar to power accessories and to recharge the auxiliary battery. Now, the far 8 gauge, which you can actually see it's a little bit shinier because that is audio quality OFC 8 gauge. That's the one on the far side of the isolator where the small blue wire is going over to. That one is the jumper from the primary battery to the isolator. Now, that is always hot. There's always positive on that. That comes directly from the primary battery. And that is what is actually feeding your amperage at wattage. They rate it from Kawasaki, but your amperage from your stator that is recharging your primary battery, which, if you guys didn't know, there's your primary battery. That is feeding your amperage to your system and recharging your battery when that isolator is closed. Now, that is a smart isolator. Very, very cool setup. Your stator will recharge your primary battery, and when the primary battery is topped off, or when you're seeing proper voltage from it, usually right around 12.7, 12.8, the isolator will open, or excuse me, will close, and it will send current through that 8-gauge wire into that bus bar. Now, when it goes into that bus bar, like I said, it is completing the circuit between the primary and the secondary battery, and it will recharge the other battery as well as feed your accessories. So when you shut off all your accessories and your vehicle's still running, the isolator's still closed, guess what? You're recharging that battery, your secondary, your auxiliary battery, and that's how that system actually works. So I'm just going to show you the bits and pieces here. The blue and green wires there are actually a jacketed pair of wires that come with this kit, and they run directly to that dual voltmeter that's on the dash. So the blue obviously powers the primary side of the gauge, and the green powers the secondary side of the gauge. So it's already set up. All you have to do is just basically hook them up, run your wires in, hook up your gauge, and you'll be able to see both sides. Now, there are different ways to wire them. That's all down to personal preference. So if you have any questions, feel free to PM me. So again, bus bar has all our leads on it. Now, this also is really cool because it prevents you from having to run all your big gauge wires all the way to that auxiliary battery to power them. This includes, and not limited to, this particular machine has a winch, which most of you guys have. It also has hydraulic plow assist on it, which is so cool, but not many people have it. And what that does is it works very similar to a winch, same exact relay, activator, whatever you want to call it. Same setup, but it actually allows you to tilt the plow from inside the cab on a hydraulic ram. So that powers that. So we had to run that there. We had to run power for our fuse block, which I will get to in a minute, for all our accessories. We ran the 4-gauge directly from the battery. You can see the blue, really nice audio quality OFC cable right there. That's the feed directly from the battery. And it simplifies life so much because all your wiring's under the hood. You don't have a spaghetti mess running under your seat, down the tunnel, anything else. It's literally a single 4-gauge wire that's running down to that battery. So simple, easy to do. I think those bus bars go for about $35 to $40, depending on where you find them from. I'm pretty sure I got those from a marine company on Amazon. But they work really, really well. So let me shoot to the other side, and we'll show you the ground bus bar, which I'm not sure. We'll just do it from underneath like we did there. So now we mounted this. I know, again, mess. Mounted this one on the opposite side. Now, it was so much easier to run this to the opposite side. It's separated. Everything is just cabled up. So one side is positive, one side is ground. It doesn't get any simpler than that. This one's black. Obviously, it's ground. It fits right up in the fender well. Super, super easy. And right next to it, we have control module for rock lights, and everything's in really good shape. We cable everything up, make it super tight. You know, nothing's going to get hung up, nothing's going to get grabbed, and it works really well. And again, we're running the grounds for the winch, we're running the grounds for our fuse block, we're running the grounds for our hydraulic assist, and it's all out of the way because, if you guys don't remember, it's got long travel and big tires, and stuff tends to get in the way when you add those things together. So yeah, and you can get the pair of these bus bars. I didn't mean one bus bar. You can get the pair, the positive and the negative, for like $35 to $40. And like I said, I'm pretty sure I got those from Amazon. I can try and find links for you later on if you want them. And just contact me privately. I do the best I can to get back to you guys. Sometimes I'm good at it, sometimes I'm not. And I apologize to the guys who watch my videos and are like, that guy blew me off. Well, I didn't mean to. I apologize. But I do work a full-time job. I also have 4 kids and a beautiful wife, and I got lots of stuff to take care of, so I hope you understand. Remember I was talking about the grounds being upgraded. Well, there's a prime example right there. So that's the factory ground point. Now, I ran a 4-gauge directly to that factory ground so that there is no resistance in the system whatsoever. That goes directly to the bus bar. and then right to the frame ground right here. So it connects that battery. So if you guys have any questions about what works, what doesn't work, why don't I have to run a ground from the auxiliary battery all the way up front, the frame is a great grounding point as long as your grounds are all secure. And yeah, so that's beautiful. All right, on to the fuse block. Now, muddy as it may be, this is our fuse block. Now, this is a 12 circuit Blue Sea Marine fuse block. Probably one of the nicest pieces that I have used in any install, on road, off road, anywhere. And I've done plenty of installs. You know, it's not something that is new to me. So what we have here is this really, really cool fuse block that is super, super ingenious. I shouldn't say it. It's nothing out of the ordinary, but it's a nice setup. The nicest part of this setup, that's better without the light, is that it's a dual bank, meaning that it has a separate ground and 12 volt positive in the same fuse block, meaning that you don't have to run 3 million grounds to one freaking ring terminal on your frame somewhere. It is so much easier to go ahead and run your grounds and your positives directly to this fuse block. As you can tell, this is severe overkill for this machine. I'm only running 3 circuits directly off here. I've got room for 9 more, but I've got a lot of grounds, right? My grounds are for switches, my grounds are for illumination, my grounds are for all that stuff, and I still have a lot more room to add on to this machine, which I am quite sure will happen in the future. I'm pretty sure we're going to end up doing a couple more lights on here, even though the lighting is pretty awesome. I'm pretty sure we're going to be doing a couple little add-ons over time. So it's a cool setup. I mean, I already wired it. I pre-wired it with a secondary circuit right here. This green wire here. This is for anything that he plans on adding on in the future. So it's already in the dash. There's already a switch there waiting for him. All he has to do is basically reach in there and hook it up. That's just a little, not an oversight, but an insight that I decided to add on while I was wiring the system, because sometimes running wires is a pain in the butt. And while I had the whole thing apart, I figured I would just go ahead and do that. So here's our ground. That's our primary ground that feeds the ground side of this fuse block. This is an 8 gauge OFC cable. This runs directly up to our bus bar that I just showed you a couple minutes ago. And then we've got our 8 gauge positive OFC audio grade cable that runs up to the bus bar on the positive side. Now, I have not had a single problem with any of this. Everything's worked really, really well for us, and no complaints from me, no complaints from the owner. Everything is mega tight. And from here, you can kind of see where everything else is mounted. So it's real compact, but it really works really well. So right here, you have your winch activator. Right here is your hydraulic plow assist actuator. And, you know, not for nothing, but I love to shout out my boy Wags. This guy just knocks lighting out of the park. It's insane. So we got some halos from him. That's the controller for that. And that's a Bluetooth controller. Now, oh no, excuse me. That is not a Bluetooth controller. That is actually a slim card remote control box. You can add on the Bluetooth if you so choose. He does those as well. And then, like I said, we got our rock light box right there. We have a secondary one for the interior lights that is under the driver's seat with the auxiliary battery. So I'm hoping that I kind of covered all the bases here as far as setting up your system and a dual battery system. And if there's any questions, feel free to contact me. I'd love to help you out if I can, and I do the best I can. So guys, God bless, and go ride. All right, enjoy your winter mod time. And yeah, so that's the Brawler, and we're gonna do a couple things to it and get back to you when it's all done. All right, later.